with those Friday night lights, with that Pac-12 after dark. We got Colorado. They were on the road taking on Washington State, and Colorado was a team going in that was actually close. That was actually kind of close, right? So Colorado is on a 5-game losing streak. They have been down horrendous since they lost to Stanford. But in the games that they've played in, they've been right there. They have been right there. They were close to being Oregon State. They were close to being Arizona. They were competitive against UCLA as well. They were right there. And they were going in. They were taking on a Washington State team who was on a 6-game losing streak. They just lost to Cal. They just lost to Stanford. They also lost to Arizona State. Games that Washington State was all favored to win in, by the way. So you have two teams that were battling to keep their bowl hopes alive. Whoever lost this game was not going to have any opportunity to experience a bowl game. One team had to come out on top, and the model actually did have Colorado winning this game. It had Colorado minus 0.5, whereas Washington State was like a 4.5-point favorite when the game started. Washington State did not care about that model at all. Cameron Ford, he goes off 288 yards, 4 touchdowns in this game. We saw the old Cam Ward. At the same time, Colorado did have some pretty bad injury luck. Shedeur Sanders had to leave the game in the second quarter after he took a massive shot. So was in that concussion protocol, to say the least. We'll see if he actually does end up playing or not. But not really a lot of bright spots, not really a lot of positives here for Colorado. Got blown out when really are not supposed to. And, you thought this team was going in the right direction. And listen, going into this season, if Colorado was going to win like 4 or 5 games, you're going to be happy with that. But at the same time, though, because of the optics of it, because of this losing streak, the season's going to be viewed just a little bit more differently than how the season actually gone, right? But even with the way that Colorado is going to end this season, and listen, it's very likely that Colorado is going to lose their final game of the season, losing to Utah. This is still a positive step in the right direction. You have to remember what Colorado football was at last year. This was not only a team that was the worst team in the Power 5, and it wasn't even close. This was arguably one of the worst teams in college football, period, last season. This team was bad. And it's clear that there's still some holes on this roster, right? Colorado, this is a Colorado team that had one of the worst lines in college football. And I figured, and that was an issue that I kind of highlighted when talking to folks about Colorado. They may have the fancy gadget players, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Those are both very talented players, for example, but there was not really a game this year, except maybe Colorado State, where the Buffaloes had an advantage in the trenches on either side of the ball. And that was evident. The Buffaloes allowed an FBS worst 54 sacks in this point of the season. We still have another game to go. And Washington State took advantage of that weakness, and that's why we have a score like we did. Washington State took advantage of the fact that Shedeur Sanders had to run for his life, while Cameron Ward was chilling, man. He was vibing. He was having a good time, and that's why I was able to have the great game that he had. And it also allows Washington State to snap their longest losing streak that they've had since 2013. Talked about how Washington State was coming in on a 6-game losing streak. And it was also a game where they were averaging just 20 points a game the last 6 weeks too. So nothing was really working for Washington State. For the Cougars, it was a get-right game, it seemed like. And you love to see that. Washington State now has a chance to be bowl eligible, but they're going to have to find a way to take down Washington in the Apple Cup, which, we've seen crazy things happen, but we'll see if Washington State can take that momentum and give Washington at least a scare in the Apple Cup. I'm still high on Colorado going forward. I still think that they did a good job hiring Coach Prime. It's just going to need some time. Most teams do not get turned around overnight, and that's evident. Coach Prime still improved his team from last year, and 4 to 5 wins is what I expected Colorado to win here in year number 1 in a very competitive Pac-12 conference. The depth in the Pac-12 is deeper than what we see in the SEC this year. It's just that kind of season. It's a shame that the Pac-12 is going to fall apart, unfortunately. You hate to see it. But that being said, I think Coach Prime's going to have his guys going in the right direction. We'll have to keep an eye on Coach Prime and his guys moving forward. But hats off to Washington State. They are still alive to go to a bowl game if they can pull a big upset off against Washington in the Apple Cup.